Hi, my name is Ben McGinnis. This is the final presentation for Principles of Microeconomics. Today I'm going to be talking about Unit 12. The main ideas of Unit 12 are external effects, market failure, policy, and public good. Introduction. More often than not, markets allocate their resources efficiently, but this can be derailed when decisions of buyers and sellers are affected by externalities. These effects can cause markets to make allocations that are not Pareto efficient. Also, external factors such as overproduction, pollution, and overconsumption can lead to markets failing. Next is the external effects. So external effects are overproduction, pollution, and overconsumption. So first, overproduction it can lead to deadweight loss and which is inefficient and can cause markets to fail. Next is pollution. Pollution increases social cost, and it increases the cost on the people who are not a part of the economic decision. So like the BP oil spill, people were affected that weren't involved in the economic decision. Next is overconsumption, which is consuming more than the socially optimal amount. So smoking cigarettes and other people inhaling secondhand smoke, or driving a car that leads to traffic jams. Next is this graph, and in this graph you can see the marginal private cost, or the MPC, which is the purple line. This shows the cost the banana plantations face when producing an extra ton of bananas. You can also see the marginal external cost, or the MEC, which is the orange line, the additional cost imposed on fishermen from pollution caused by producing one more ton. And finally, you can see the marginal social cost, the MSC, or the green line, the true cost to society of producing an extra ton. The shaded area shows the shaded region between the marginal private cost and the marginal social cost represents the cost imposed on fishermen that producers do not take into account. Because the marginal social cost is above the marginal private cost, producers underestimate the true cost of production. This leads to overproduction of bananas relative to the social efficiency level. This graph also illustrates a market failure caused by pollution. Next, I'm going to talk about the marginal private and external cost. So the marginal private cost is the cost of making one more unit. And the marginal external cost is the cost of damage to the surrounding environment. The marginal external cost normally falls to a third party that's not involved in the transaction. Next is the marginal social cost, which is the total cost of producing. Marginal private cost, it involves marginal private cost and marginal external cost. Marginal private cost is the cost to make one more unit, like I previously mentioned, and the marginal external cost is the additional cost imposed on third parties when one extra unit of a good is produced or consumed, like I previously mentioned. Bargaining, solutions to market failures. Bargaining only works when both parties can negotiate freely. There are clear and defined property rights, and they must exhaust all potential mutual gains. Ronald Coase stated that a negotiation settlement between two parties could lead to a Pareto-efficient allocation of resources. Bargaining is a way that consumers and producers can negotiate deals without the use of a market. Next is government policies toward market failures. So there's three things they can do. They can tax, they can subsidize, or they can regulate. Taxation has to be equal to the marginal external cost, and the producer takes on the full social cost. Next is subsidies. These are used for positive externalities and can be used to increase production, like how the US federal government subsidizes farmers to grow more of one crop to increase production through federal grants. Next is regulation. Regulation could cap the amount of a product that producers could create, which could limit pollution, and it could also regulate the kind of materials or the kind of chemicals that they're allowed to use when creating the product. Okay, next is another graph, and this graph shows the purple line, which is the marginal private cost faced by banana plantations. The green line is the marginal social cost which includes pollution damage to fishermen. The vertical gap between the marginal social cost and the marginal private cost is the marginal external cost, aka pollution. Without policy, point A, producers choose output where price equals marginal private cost. This leads to overproduction at about 80,000 tons. The cost to the fishermen are ignored, which is your market failure. A Pareto efficient outcome occurs where price equals marginal social cost at about 38,000 tons. At this quantity, total social surplus is maximized. The role of the tax is a Pigouvian tax equal to the marginal external cost shifts marginal private cost up to marginal social cost. Producers also face the full social cost. Output falls to the Pareto efficient quantity. The after-tax price received by plantations is lower, but pollution is reduced. Asymmetric information. Asymmetric information is when one party has better or more information than the other. This is the most common cause of market failure. Okay, first you have moral hazard. Moral hazard is when individuals take more risk when they don't bear the full consequences, leading to inefficiency. An example of this would be a car driver who has car insurance, and the driver does not feel a need to drive safe, and he can drive more recklessly and risky because he does not bear the weight that, or he doesn't bear the cost that it would be if he were to get into an accident, and instead the insurance company bears that cost. Next is adverse selection. Adverse selection is where one side has a better understanding of the market before the transaction, while the other side cannot differentiate between high or low quality products. This is like where at a used car lot, where the car salesman knows whether the car could go 50 miles or whether the car could go 1,000, 20,000 miles, and you have no idea. So he could either sell you a lemon or a good car, and he has the upper hand, which causes inefficiency, leading to a market failure. Arguments against using market failures for everything. One argument is that relying on markets alone can have major efficiency problems, while also exposing third parties to harm. Another argument is that it is increasingly more difficult to have Pareto efficiency when you use markets for everything. Like I mentioned previously, bargaining, as Ronald Coase said, is a way that people could negotiate deals without using a market. The cost of bargaining is also called the transaction cost. In conclusion, while markets are good in many aspects, they can still lead to inefficiencies. Problems such as externalities and asymmetric information can still occur. Therefore, There needs to be a form of government or collective group that can assist in regulating markets. Thank you.